Gasconade Bates is slow downtown. Eastbound 64 better across the Poplar, but still a jam at Grand 44 Jefferson at the Poplar because of a recent crash. And it looks like we got a problem with a crash on 64 at 25th Street, a jam both ways there. I'm Roger Brand at the Michaels Flooring Outlet.com Traffic Center.
1 in 4 employees is also a caregiver. The CARES program connects them with expert support, helping reduce stress, boost retention, and save your business money. Learn more at hsmart.org or call 618-222-2561, serving 7 counties in Southwest Illinois.
News, traffic, and the latest from the world of sports. This is Rush Hour Sports on 104.1 FM KMOX.
All right, guys, welcome into Tuesday on Rush Hour Sports. Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you hanging out. Matt, obviously, Sports Open Line coming up after the 6 o'clock news. We got a lot to do today, man. And we're going to get as much as we can here in this first hour. Of course, you got a couple hours after that to get more topics in there. But we got to start with World Series Game 3 last night. Of course, Game 4 is coming up here in a little bit. The game ended just before 2 in the morning local time here, like our time. Right. Just before midnight. Pacific time, and it was a 6-hour and 40-minute game that had pretty much everything. It was a slugfest and a pitcher's duel all in one.
Yeah, and lots of defensive plays that don't always get made.
Bad
getting made.
Base running, weird pitching moves, managers emptying the bench when they shouldn't. This is why you don't make defensive replacements in one-run games.
I was also thinking, so we were talking about Tommy Edman when texting last night.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this today, about how the Dodgers, they didn't make as many moves to their bench yesterday.
No, they didn't.
They made very few,
They only made 2 moves.
Yeah, and it took a while until they got there. Toronto had nothing left on their bench, and the Dodgers had basically not made a move with their bench.
Yeah.
And that is the greatest example of the difference between the Dodgers and other teams. Most teams in baseball have to have a roster where you have to utilize so many players. You're going to have some splitty type players and things like that. The Dodgers lineup is so good, and it's just something where you don't have to make moves. So I found that.
Well, they
to
don't
be
have much of a bench either.
They also don't. Yeah, that's true.
Like their bench is what? It's Miguel Rojas, Alex Call, a backup catcher, and
I'd have to look at the roster.
This is my point.
Yeah.
Like they don't have much on the bench at this point.
Right. I mean, Call looked terrible in his 2 at bats.
Well, he hasn't played.
Right.
He's been sitting around for a month.
That's the point. The Dodgers are built in a way where
same lineup every day.
They don't need a bench.
Yep.
And very few teams like that are in baseball are like that.
No, you got to have like what they have, which is 3 MVP candidates at the top, and then an all-star cleanup hitter in Will Smith. And then guys like Muncy and Hernandez who will leave and Teoscar who they will leave the yard every once in a while. I mean, they just got a lot of good starting players.
Toronto was just playing with fire last night because every single time that lineup turns over, and you're not facing Shohei, but you are facing Betts, except the one they did walk Betts one time to get to Freddie. But you're facing Betts, you're facing Freddie every 2 to 3 innings.
Yeah.
You're just playing with fire. Of course that was going to happen.
Yeah.
Of course that was going to happen if you go 18 innings. You can't give that caliber of player at bat after at bat after at bat before somebody hits one out.
No. So you had, a lot of really cool stories in this. I mean, this game started off with a lot of offense. It was 4-4 after 7. Which means there was only 3 runs scored in the next 11, 12 innings. No, I'm sorry, I got that wrong. It was 4-4 after 5.
Yeah.
And then there were only 3 runs scored in the next 13 innings, and it was 5-5. And nobody scored again until the bottom of the 18th when Freddie Freeman walked it off. You've got, Shohei Ohtani with another historic night. 4 for 4, 2 homers, 2 doubles, 5 walks. The intentional walk debate kicked in with him, too, because people get mad when you're walking guys. I'm like, well, that's up to the rest of the team to just make the team pay for doing it, right?
I saw terrible takes.
Mookie Betts went 1 for 8, man. I mean, if Mookie Betts gets 2 hits with Ohtani getting walked, this game doesn't even get to the 18th inning.
I saw terrible takes on social media.
I did
last
too,
night.
from people I like too.
Oh, there should be a rule that you shouldn't be allowed to intentionally walk a batter more. Well, okay, then what? You're just gonna throw? That's not an enforceable rule.
Yeah.
Because you can just throw 4 pitches outside the zone like they did with him in his final at bat, which was the old unintentional, intentional.
No, it's strategy, man.
Yeah.
It's like saying you can't play your outfielders on the warning track when he's up. You cannot just say that the best player has to be pitched to. It's just silliness, man.
Brendan Schaefer tweeted this out last night, so I want to give credit where credit is due because it's so good. It says Ohtani has reached base 9 times with 2 homers tonight, and it's not the best game he's had in the last 2 weeks.
No, I know, that's crazy. and he's pitching tonight.
Yeah.
So this is where it's really interesting because you're on base 9 times. Now, 2 of them he just jogged around the bases. But he's running the bases those other 7 times. He's trying to steal a bag. He ran out, legged out doubles. He's running and scoring on
a little bit
some
of a
of
hammy or a calf issue.
Yeah,
at one point.
so now he's going to be pitching and hitting it tonight. So you don't know. I don't think it's going to make a huge difference because he's an alien, but something to keep an eye on because both bullpens are torched. But I'll tell you this: my favorite story of the night last night is the guy nobody had ever heard of before in Will Klein.
He's an Eastern Illinois kid.
Yeah, he's. I've tracked him for a couple years because I saw him pitch in spring training a couple years ago. I think he was a Royals guy before he ended up in Seattle, and Seattle released him in May and then traded him to the Dodgers, like designated him for assignment and then traded him to the Dodgers. He's out there. This guy, so Will Klein is a career reliever. He has 22 2/3 regular season innings in his entire life. He's only 25, so he's not that old, but he's only pitched in 22 2/3 major league innings in the regular season. He had 1 inning in the playoffs up to this point. And last night he pitched the last 4 innings. Keep in mind, relievers are trained to throw 1, maybe 2. He throws 4 innings, 72 pitches, 1 hit, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, and he's out there blowing 97 and 99 the whole time. And he gets out there and wins what might end up being the pivotal game in this World Series.
I think
that's awesome.
As I was watching that game last night, I thought to myself, if the Dodgers win this game, I don't know if Toronto can come back from that.
Yeah.
Where if Toronto wins this game, I think the Dodgers can come back from it. If Toronto proves me wrong, awesome. I'd be happy. I kind of want Toronto to win this series.
Yeah.
But I think if you're Toronto, this is a really tough loss to come back from.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, also, like Springer is still up and down now. He had to leave the game in the middle of the game with an oblique injury. They don't know. They haven't. As of last I checked, they hadn't even posted a lineup yet because they don't know if he's going to be able to go or not. It's just got posted. All right, we'll double check it while we're talking.
I'll look it up as we go.
But I mean, he had to leave after only 3 at bats into that game, so you lost him, which is a part of why they had to start emptying the bench.
Not in the lineup.
He is not in the lineup,
No.
so that's a major loss. Is Bichette in the lineup today?
Yeah, he's batting third, the DH.
Yeah, see, I don't know, man. They've had to take him out early in the last couple of times because he's just back from injury, and
right.
they take him out midway through the game, I guess, for defense, so they don't cause any more damage to his knee because he's playing with he's recovered, but he's still dealing with a sprained left knee.
Yeah, without Springer, I mean, it's amazing how one guy. This is the lineup.
It changes the look of the lineup completely.
Luke Guerrero, Bichette, Barger, Kirk, Varsho, Clement, Jimenez, and then IKF.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a scary lineup.
It changes it a lot when you take out a guy having an MVP caliber season.
You're scared of Guerrero, obviously.
Yep.
Who else are you respect a handful of those guys? Who are you scared of?
Yeah, I mean, no other than Guerrero, nobody.
Right.
Varsho's dangerous. Barger's dangerous.
Yeah.
Kirk is the respect guy. Bichette would be, but he's not 100%. But he had a couple hits yesterday, so it's not like he's helpless up there.
Yeah, but again, there's that line that you cross.
Yeah.
I don't care what Mookie Betts is doing. You're afraid of Mookie Betts. You're
Absolutely.
afraid of Shohei Ohtani.
You're afraid of Freddie Freeman. Yeah, 100%.
You don't have that with this Blue Jays lineup.
That was one of the greatest games in the World Series.
Yeah.
I don't think it beats Game 6, Cardinals-Rangers, because that was different. Like, that was elimination for the Cardinals. You're staving off elimination. It was a little more dramatic because of the back and forth late, But this game's pretty close.
And we didn't even talk about Yamamoto up warming.
No, I know. He was up warming up to pitch 2 days after he threw a complete game.
And I said this yesterday, and it just continues the point on. I love series where there's a storyline and a good story in each one, and that obviously continues yesterday. So
yeah,
game 1, you had the 9-run inning and the grand slam, first pinch hit grand slam in World Series history. Game 2, you have the Yamamoto complete game, and then game 3, you just have the ridiculousness that was us all staying up. And by the way, late night baseball Twitter is the best.
It's pretty
Twitter
funny.
in the
People
world.
are getting slap happy.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, "What am I seeing?" Yeah, it was pretty great, and I thought it was cool that it was the anniversary of the Game 6.
Yeah.
So the same night that we were talking about how magical that game was, and I think it's I think this one was close, man. It wasn't quite. And maybe it's just because I was at Game 6, I feel better about it, but I don't think so. I think it was a little bit more dramatically swinging back and forth, like big punches in the last few innings. But very cool game last night, one of the best World Series games in modern World Series history. All right, let's continue baseball. We're going to talk a bit about the Cardinals up next. There's been a little bit on Brendan Donovan in the news the last couple of days, but especially today. I saw a quick breakdown from MLB Trade Rumors about teams that could be fits for him. And then I'm going to ask the question, whether or not the likelihood of him being traded is impacted at all by the Nootbaar injury. So we'll get into that coming up next year on KMOX.
Hey, just check the mail. We've been invited to a seminar and dinner is free.
It's gonna be chicken, and it'll taste like Play-Doh.
Don't be fooled. All seminars are not the same. For example, Steve All, an investment advisor representative and founder of the All Financial Group, will be hosting his Taxes and Retirement Seminar at the Twisted Tree on November 4th and 6th. From the big beautiful bill to taxes on your Social Security, Steve will not only cover the hurdles you'll face in retirement, but ways to keep more money in your pocket and less in Uncle Sam's. This is a complimentary event, but seating is limited, so reserve your seat today. Call 636-230-8824 or online at yourmoneymattersstl.com.
You know, hon, I've always been interested in us buying a timeshare.
I'd rather eat Play-Doh.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC IPW, or registered investment advisor. Neither the firm nor its agents or representatives may give tax or legal advice. Individuals should consult with a qualified professional for guidance before making any purchasing decisions.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, E-T-H-O-S, ethos.com/life.
Nobody had to tell your grandparents not to drive while using their typewriters. Why should it be any different for us kids and our cell phones? Distracted driving was the cause of more than 3,000 deaths in 2022. Come on, we're smarter than this. Let's put down the phones and focus on the roads. Drive safe, everybody.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. I've been asked many times how Morgan & Morgan became the largest injury firm in the world. I think I know. When someone comes to us for an on-the-job injury, we have a huge workers' compensation practice. But many times we find a defective product that was responsible for that injury. Luckily for them, we have a product liability section headed by my son Mike. In addition to the comp case, there's a product case too. Other times the injured worker is fired or harassed for bringing that claim. We have them covered. Our employment lawyers handle retaliation claims as well as wage theft and discrimination cases, and in some cases need to file for Social Security benefits. No problem. We became big for a reason. 30% of our new cases come as referrals from former clients. Hiring us is easy. Go to forthepeople.com on your mobile device or computer, or call Pound Law on your cell, pound 529. Morgan & Morgan. Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, still got a lot of slow traffic around the area if you're heading out the door and heading home right now. This traffic reports the Service of Financial and Tax Strategies on 170. They cleared that crash northbound 170 south of Page. Traffic's thinning out pretty quickly, but 64 still up to about Ladue. Slow northbound, southbound is bogged down in Olive. Westbound 64 stop and go pockets. Kings Highway out through Clayton Skinker from pretty much 170 all the way to 270. It's slow. Any guns or the Top Golf early to the Boone Bridge. There's a little slowdown midway out from K to Winghaven at 364 to 70. Blues game traffic eastbound 64, east of Clarkson at 141, east of 270 all the way in through Big Bend. South 270 still jammed south of 364 to Ladue both ways. between Manchester and Oliver Heavy. The southbound side goes to Doherty Ferry, and then again 44 to Gravois. 44, the right lanes are backed up at Lindbergh. Westbound, eastbound 44 at Lafayette to the Poplar. Eastbound 64 is still slow east of Grand to the Poplar, on to 64 over through to 25th Street because of a crash, and westbound's jammed at 111 because of it. Eastbound 70 is backed up east of the Mutual Veterans into that area, and southbound 55 south of Arsenal to Bates is bumper to bumper. I'm Roger Brand in the Michael's Flooring Outlet.com Traffic Center.
Retirement shouldn't feel like balancing a checkbook while blindfolded. I'm Gary Goldberg, and my team helps you see the big picture so you can retire younger, richer, and with less anxiety. Because guessing is not a strategy. Tune in to Wealth and Wisdom with Gary Goldberg Saturday mornings at 7 here on KMOX.
This is Rush Hour Sports on 104.1 FM KMOX.
All right, you're back in on Rush Hour Sports. Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you. It is Tuesday night, getting ready for Game 4. Looking forward to tonight. The battle of attrition tonight.
17 hours after later. It's like playing a day game today.
And they play tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it'll be. I think this is going to be pretty. I mean, it's been fun so far.
Do you like the 2-3-2 or do you rush with the 2-2-1-1-1?
It's fine with me. No, I'm fine with the 2-3-2.
Okay.
Yeah. I like the continuity because it's more like a real baseball series when it's 3 straight and then a break and then 2. It's not, the 1-1-1-1-1. That's not baseball. That's not how it's done.
Yeah, I also like it because
it's better for travel that way too.
And it gives less of a home field advantage because as the team that's got the 3 games,
you got your chance.
You've got the opportunity to win it at home.
Yeah.
Before it sends it back.
Absolutely.
If you split at the first 2.
Yep. All right, let's talk a little bit of Brendan Donovan. So we talked yesterday about the Lars Nootbaar injury. And look, it doesn't automatic, but it's 99.9% likely that it eliminates any trade talks for Lars Nootbaar, right?
The only way, and not to cut you off, but the only way Nootbaar gets traded is if there's a GM or a team out there that's just head over heels,
and they're going to pay full
Nootbaar.
price for an injured player.
Yes.
And that's why I say 99.9% not likely. I think Bernie's right. The way he framed this on DGS yesterday was, look, your better bet is to just play it out, see if he can get healthy, and if he's performing well, you can trade him at the deadline, or you can wait till next offseason because you got another full year after that. And by that time, because there's some uncertainty, it's not a given that he misses the beginning of the year, but it's possible that he misses the beginning of the year. Well, it's okay to have extra depth in that scenario because this is just bad luck. This is not something. I don't think you have to go automatically hard to trade other people just to make room, although you do need to make room. You have to have room for Weatherholt. And by the way, that's been the reporting. He's going to have a chance to make this team.
Yeah.
They're going to go into spring with the hope that he makes the team, which is why I asked this question now. Does the Nootbaar injury increase the likelihood of Brendan Donovan being traded? I would say yes. It doesn't make it a certainty, but I think it absolutely increases the likelihood.
Yeah, so before, let's push Arenado off to the side.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's connected.
Separate thing, yeah.
Yes. So let's just assume that Arenado is going to get moved.
Mm-hmm.
Then you had the 4 guys that we talked about being the potential. And the KD Will reporting for a few months said they were likely to move on from 2 of the 4.
Right.
And that was Nootbaar, Gorman, Burleson, Donovan.
Right.
Those were the 4. So if Nootbaar's now out of that, if they still want to move 2, well, then you're moving 2 out of 3. So from a percentage chance, that increases Donovan. Even if they say we're just going to move 1 of the 3, I still think it increases the chances for Donovan because Donovan and Burleson are the 2 guys that are going to get you the most return.
Yes.
And you want to add as much talent to this roster as possible.
Yeah.
And so yes, I think it does increase the chances that a Donovan does get moved.
Yeah, and I think, and look, I'm not saying that he wouldn't have gotten moved anyway. He probably there's a chance that they could do both. But I think the way you framed it is the right way to look at it. It's about the return and less about who's going. And the reason why a contender, because this is what you don't have to be dealing with the big boys. But anybody that's going to want these players in the short term is because they think they're going to be good. They're trying to compete, right? Well, Donovan's a certainty. Gorman's not. You can say I'd rather trade Gorman. I understand why. You're not necessarily wrong, but he's not a sure thing. Donovan's a sure thing. Mm-hmm. You know exactly what you're getting. He can play all kinds of positions. He is going to get on base, and he's a good hitter. Now, Burleson, I think, is kind of the same category, except he doesn't have the same certainty defensively. But you can play him in 3 different positions and DH. And I think his bat is what it is. He's shown us what he can do in 2 straight years. He'll be looked at by other teams as a guy they know can hit. And they know what to expect. And for a contending team, there's a lot of value in that.
And this is going to be the part that a lot of fans are not going to accept. In fact, we just got a message from Eric that said, I would keep Donnie. He's too valuable. He plays different positions. There's not a lot of guys that can do that. Here's what I think is happening, and I don't know this for sure, but I do know I had a conversation on Twitter last night with somebody. The best players for the Cardinals, whether it's Ivan Herrera or Alec Burleson, like whoever wants to be, these guys would be the 3rd, 4th, 5th best hitters on the Blue Jays, not on the Dodgers.
Right.
On the Blue Jays.
Yeah, I think Herrera is probably the 4th best hitter on the Blue Jays. Yeah.
So this team, to become a legitimate contender that can compete at the highest level, has to infuse with guys who can become high-level talent. They cannot win a World Series just building around even some of the young guys they have right now. They have to get better hitters. And so next year's team would be a lot more entertaining with Donovan and Burleson and all these guys. But if you can turn those into players that eventually down the line can become high-end players, you're closer to a World Series.
Yeah, and timing is a big issue on this too, like the age of the player, contract status, and all of that stuff. If you're a contending team, you keep Donovan. If you're rebuilding, you got to think about it, even though you hate it because you love the player.
Yeah.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Missouri can count on.
Ah, fall is here. Baseball, beautiful weather, and the changing colors of trees and shrubs. When you think of your trees, call family-owned Gamma Tree Experts. Fall is a great time to prune and fertilize your valuable trees. Our staff of certified arborists will survey your trees to determine their needs. Knowledge and quality are hallmarks of our reputation. Call Gamma Tree Experts at 314-725-6159 or visit us at gammatree.com. Your trees deserve the best care.
If you're one of the millions of Americans behind on your taxes, if you're afraid to open your mail because IRS collection letters could be coming, listen carefully. The IRS is cracking down, taking paychecks, freezing bank accounts, revoking passports. That's a fact. But here's what most people don't know. There are official tax relief programs designed to help struggling taxpayers. Programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief. Optima's award-winning team will fight to protect your paycheck, your passport, and your property. Their tax attorneys and licensed tax professionals will work tirelessly to get you the best deal possible with the IRS. Every day, penalties and interest keep piling up, so don't wait. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hi, this is Charlie Brennan. I see clearly now thanks to the doctors, Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, and Andy Royer. You can too. YourEyeDoc.com.
Sponsored by Progressive. We make the claims process easy so you can get back on the road in no time. It's why over 43 million drivers trust Progressive. See for yourself at Progressive.com.
At 5:30, this news update is sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. It's a cloudy sky. Right now, 56 degrees downtown at the Arch. St. Charles County Executive Steve Ellman has made his decision.
After announcing 3 years ago he will not seek a 6th term, St. Charles County Executive Steve Ellman has changed his mind, announcing on the Chris and Amy show he will run for re-election. So what caused him to reverse his decision? He says the changing political landscape has him optimistic for the future of St. Charles County and wants to be a part of it.
I can't do that from my front porch, from my rocking chair, so I'm gonna have one last adventure before I take to the rocking chair.
Ellman says he discussed his decision with politicians on both sides of the aisle, along with business and labor leaders, before changing his mind. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
3 candidates have already been running to replace Ellman. Mike Elam has publicly said he won't depose Ellman. Jason Law remains in the race. A former private duck club in St. Charles County is poised to become a new county park, partly because of its national reputation. The area is considered a critical habitat for migratory birds. County Councilman Mike Elam highlights just how desired the location is.
I understand we are the second best duck hunting area in the United States, only to Stuttgart, Arkansas, right here.
Plans for the 785-acre park include a new 5,100-square-foot education building with exhibits on wildlife and nature preservation. Hunting will be limited to groups of new hunters led by the Department of Conservation. It'll be open to the public as a park otherwise. Today is the final day for public comment on a rule change that could legalize car-side pickup at Missouri's dispensaries. Jack Cardetti with the Missouri Cannabis Trade Association says he believes the state is ready for this easier pickup option.
Missouri has a great track record of, despite having $1.5 billion in sales, making sure that we do this in a safe, compliant way.
Cardetti says Missouri would follow other states like Nevada and Maryland if approving this rule. He says it would make it easier for people who are disabled to obtain medical marijuana. 8 high school soccer teams in Massachusetts have been disqualified from the state playoffs because of a paperwork error.
The Massachusetts Vocational Athletic Directors Association says the schools failed to leave placeholder games on their schedules for the postseason, so they've been ruled ineligible. Becky DiOliviera's son Vinny is a senior on the Southeastern Regional Vocational Technical High School boys team, which only lost 1 game all season. She says it's a horrible end to his high school career.
For a clerical error, I feel like there has to be a better outcome.
Their school superintendent calls the decision deeply unfair. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
And Danny Myers' Shake Shack is continuing its expansion in his hometown, this time crossing the river to the Metro East. The Business Journal reports that Shake Shack is planning to open its first Metro East location in the new Orchard Town Center development in Glen Carbon. The plan still needs approval from the village of Glen Carbon. And from the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Center, we've got a cold night on tap, some clouds of 42. For tomorrow, the sun's out, but it's still chilly with a high of 58. Right now, it's 56 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Well, good morning, kiddo. I love that you're home from college. I've missed you.
Still taking your Nature-Made vitamins?
Every day. A multivitamin and a probiotic. You better be taking yours.
Still looking out for me, Mom.
I'll never stop.
Made to care for you every day. Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist-recommended vitamin and supplement brand. Find us in the vitamin aisle, based on a survey of pharmacists who recommend branded vitamins and supplements.
When you bundle renters and auto with Progressive, you can save while protecting your most valuable possessions, like your really expensive limited edition sneakers and your new suit for your cousin's wedding. Except you never actually bought the suit because you can't stop buying sneakers. So you show up to the wedding looking like you're going grocery shopping. But hey, at least your sneakers will look good in the pictures, until you're cropped out of every last one of them. So go ahead and get Progressive, so you can save while protecting the things that matter to you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
It's Cybersecurity Awareness Month. LifeLock is here with tips to help protect your identity. Use strong passwords, set up multi-factor authentication, report scams, and update your software. And for comprehensive identity protection, LifeLock is your best choice. LifeLock alerts you to suspicious uses of your personal information and fixes identity theft, guaranteed, or your money back. Start your protection today with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use promo code NEWS. Terms apply.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friends Mark and Neil Gelman from the Gelman team of eXp Realty. Selling your home, every situation is unique. Find the best options that are right for you from the real estate team who offer more options. 314-336-1991. Go to thegelmanteam.com.
Attention! Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-848-2299. 800-848-2299. Again, that's 800-848-2299.
This is Rush Hour Sports on 104.1 FM KMOX.
All right, Rush Hour Sports on KMOX. Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here. Still, we're doing a little more baseball on the Cardinals side of things. We'll talk some Blues in the last segment. What do you got on Sports on My Line tonight?
Yeah, so we'll talk a little bit Mizzou. We've got a Mizzou writer on. We will talk to the Blues, we'll talk Cardinals. Benjamin Hockman's going to be on.
Nice.
So we got a few things to get to.
Looking forward to it. All right, so back to the Donovan thing, and just kind of loosely, we didn't get to the part where, and I don't want to go too crazy in this. It's too early in the offseason. But the bigger point I'm trying to make is there are a lot of teams that are going to be trying to contend next year that could put to use a high on base left-handed hitter who can play almost anywhere on the field. And in some spots is actually a plus defender, right? He's a plus defender at second base. He's a plus in left field. And he's serviceable at third base. He's serviceable in right field. He's serviceable at first base. I don't know how much you want him at short, but he can fill in there if you need him to. But there's a real value to a contending team in that predictable bat. You know, I mean, a healthy Donovan is going to be a 360, 370 on base. And you know he's going to hit, carry a good average. He puts the ball in play, doesn't strike out a lot of doubles, that kind of thing. And the reason that, we talked about it, this is where we left off, was, you hate to trade a player like that because he's a great example for other people. He's a leader on the team, but he's also 2 years from free agency. He's getting closer to 30. And you're not necessarily, I forget closer, he is 30. So he'll be 32 when he's free agent. Do you want to be paying ages 30? So next year will be age 31 for him, and he has 2 more years. So you have him under control. I got it backwards. I'm looking at Tommy Edmonds' page. Brendan Donovan is not that old. I think Donovan's 28, if I remember correctly. But the point is, you're talking about a guy that's going to be in his 30s by the time you're going to have to pay him. And you've got players at those positions coming up that you're going to need to be clean. Like Weatherholt is the guy that should be playing in the infield this year. Right. Maybe second, maybe third, but he should be in there every day. And if you're going to get things that you don't have for a guy that's getting close to getting paid a significant amount of money, and you're not sure yet when your window of contention is going to be, I don't think it's very long, but it's also not next year.
Right.
It's not next year. I got it. Yeah, so Donovan will be 29 and 30 in his last 2 years.
Yeah, he'll be 29 in January.
Yeah, so 29 and 30 in his last 2 years of team control. So then you got to start paying age 31, 32, 33, 34. Is that the wisest move where you are right now? I don't think so.
I guess it depends on the number.
And it also depends on the return.
Yeah.
If you're going to get kind of mediocre or nothing, well, then all right, keep him. But but the reason we're talking about him, and I think Burley is another guy, and I don't want to trade him either. You got 4 years of control. You know he's good. But if you're getting a hell of an offer, that's where you're starting to make the moves from your areas of depth and guys that are getting closer to 30 years old, getting closer to free agency, who can bring in the things you don't have. But keep in mind, I want to set the expectations very clearly here, and I'm sure you'll agree. You're not getting anybody's elite prospects for Brendan Donovan.
Yeah, but
you're not getting a top 50 or 60 guy. You might get somebody lower in the top 100, but you're going to be able to get things that you don't currently have.
Yes.
That's the point.
And I guess I would go back to what I said earlier. That I'm
sorry.
I know what you're looking at.
We'll get to this after the traffic. Finish your point.
Real quickly.
We both saw the same thing at the same time. We'll get to it. It's a message on the stream.
Okay,
we'll get to it.
I'll make my point in 10 seconds. But if Burleson and Donovan are the 6th, 7th, 8th best hitters on the Blue Jays, well, if you can trade them and get guys who you think project out to be players that are more like the second or third of what they currently have, then you have to do it.
Yeah.
If you don't get prospects that you can project out to be better, a lot better than what those guys are, you don't make the move. I'll shut up.
All right, back to the baseball in just a second. Let's check the roads and see how things are going out there. It's been a cloudy, kind of rainy day. We'll take a look at the evening commute with Captain Roger Brand.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, we got trouble with crashes on 64 right now, Kevin. This traffic reports the service of Metro Transit on the Illinois side, westbound 64 at 25th Street. They had all lanes shut down. It looks like they may be starting to let traffic through because of a crash. Westbound 64 is jammed west of 255. Eastbound is jammed back onto 70, back to Packers Avenue. And the other crash, eastbound 64, before Spady left lane, it's backed up at 270. South 170, bumper to bumper, from Olive down to 64. Westbound 64, west of the Science Center to Clayton Skinkers, backed up. It's slow Clayton Warson out to the 270 area. Still kind of slow west of Long Road to the Boone Bridge, K midway to Winghaven, and then just approaching Prospect after that. South 270 bogs down south of 364. It's still busy both ways between Ladue and Manchester. The southbound side remains heavy to about Doherty Ferry, 44 to Gravois. Southbound 55 Arsenal through Bates, you have a little bit of congestion. Westbound 44 between the bridges downtown is still heavy. I'm Roger Brand in the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
This report is sponsored by Metro Transit.
Looks like autumn has arrived, and all fall long, a Metro Transit Day Pass is still just $5, which makes you just one click away from your one-day mental health fall getaway. Plan your trip at metrostlouis.org.
All right, back to baseball talk here on Rush Hour Sports on KMOX. If you're watching the stream, you're seeing Matt and I laughing. Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here because we were texting about this last night, and we saw these messages that just came in on the stream. And we're not, listen, I want to be clear. We're not trying to pick on you guys.
No.
We're going to throw a couple of these up on the screen, and we're going to read them. We're not making fun. We're just setting the record straight when we get to what we're talking about. Because we were literally texting about this last night when Tommy Edman made an error that almost ended up costing the Dodgers the game. Because he blew a ground ball that should have been a double play. He didn't make that play. The next player hit a 3-run homer. And I was joking that the first thing we're going to get are all the messages that are like, Tommy Edman should still be a Cardinal. And we didn't get that, so I want to be clear. That's not what's happening. But we did get a couple of messages on the stream. And again, not picking on you guys. I love you guys. My guess is you guys don't watch a lot of Dodgers baseball. And you see highlights, and then you connect that to what you're seeing, and you're not. That's my assumption. I'm not assuming you're a jerk. I'm not assuming you're stupid. Nothing like that. We got a message from DLW 1904 said, watching Edman last night, the guy still rakes. Carlos Merriweather said, I see Edman doing good this World Series. I like to see him playing more. Number one, he's starting every game. And he's not doing anything in the postseason. This season,
he's a 240 hitter this year in the postseason with a 669 OPS.
Yeah, he had 225 in the regular season. He was 18% below average. Guys, this season, Tommy Edman hit worse than Nolan Gorman, the guy that nobody here wants.
Yeah.
Like Nolan Gorman has better offensive numbers than Tommy Edman does.
So Edman
in 2025.
Edman this year was a 225 hitter with a 656 OPS. It was a terrible season. But you say,
and he was banged up and all that.
He was.
But that's, it's still part of the game.
But then you can say, well,
so was Gorman.
Maybe it was was he good against lefties? Was he good against righties? Nope, wasn't good against either. Against lefties, 216 with a 694 OPS. Against righties, he hit 230 with a 635 OPS. Tommy Edman is a perfect player for the Dodgers. He can give you high-level defense at a whole bunch of different positions. He does, to his credit, have that clutch gene. He does tend to come up with big hits in big moments, and I give him credit for that.
He was great in the World Series last year. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
He was unbelievable, and he was the NLCS MVP last year too.
Yeah.
He had a great playoff run for the Dodgers last year.
But his offensive numbers are terrible.
Yeah, I mean in the World Series, he's hitting 133 with a 188 on base and a 200 slug. So that's not even close to the Mendoza line. And so again, I'm not trying to pick on the player or on the people commenting.
Because we all really like Tommy Edman.
I love Tommy Edman.
Yeah.
And I think Tommy Edman is a great fit for a team that's a contender. But you can't, no team outside of maybe the 5 biggest payrolls in the sport can pay him what he's getting paid and live with it.
No.
He's getting paid $12.5, $15 million a year.
And good for him.
No, I'm so happy for him because this is a guy that he was overlooked a lot as a draft prospect. He was never a top 100 prospect. He just kept getting better and better and better. Mm-hmm. He was a 6-win player for the Cardinals in 2022. a tremendous season. I love the player, but he's not that guy anymore. He's not the 2022 guy anymore. He's not changing your fortunes here. And he's played only 130 games the last 2 seasons combined. So I think we just need to chill on it is all.
Hold on. Come on, DLW.
You said he rakes.
Yeah, you literally said the guy still rakes.
That means hits.
Yeah, and
don't be playing games.
Then you come back and say I was talking defense.
He also made the error that gave the Blue Jays a 3-run homer yesterday.
Nobody rakes in the field except the grounds crew.
Yeah. That's it. So again, maybe that's just a terminology thing that got lost. And if that's the case, again, not trying to be a hater. We want to paint a realistic picture of the player we're talking about. Tommy Edman is a really good player, a bottom third of the order hitter on a really good team. And his value to the Dodgers is that he's got tremendous versatility and he can run. And and you guys, you can look it up. You don't have to trust me. Go to Baseball Reference. You can see it. Tommy Edman has never hit right-handed pitching in the major leagues. Never. He kills lefties typically. He didn't this year, but typically he kills lefties but doesn't hit righties. That has been the norm.
I'll give you his career splits real quick. He is maybe as I'm there it is. Over his career against lefties, a 273 hitter with an 809 OPS.
That's good.
That's good.
That's really good.
That's good. Career against right-handers, 253 with a 683 OPS.
And again, that's about what, like 12%, 10% below average?
Probably in that area, yeah.
So again, that's not, so I just want to, I sometimes think we get caught in the moments because he has had some really highlight reels, and he had a great playoff series. But think about it from our Cardinals perspective,
and the play
right?
he made on that throw last night,
unbelievable.
Awesome.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
But think of it this way. David Eckstein had an amazing run for the Cardinals in 2006 in the postseason. He won the World Series MVP. David Eckstein was a fun, excellent player, but he wasn't a big impact player unless you had Albert and all the other guys, Yachty and everybody else, there for him to be a support player for as opposed to being a really key guy. All right, we're going to talk some Blues coming up next here on KMOX.
Hi, it's Debbie Monterey. When I endorse a product or service on the radio, I take it very seriously and I do my research. I did that when I first met Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty more than 5 years ago. Gloria's here in studio today, so Gloria, I'll ask the same question I asked you when we first met. What sets you apart from other local agents?
Well, number one is my guaranteed offers. I'm so confident that I'll sell your home at 100% of market value, or I'll pay the difference. Number two is I already have the buyers, so your home may already be sold. I literally have thousands of buyers in my Buyers in Waiting program. This is how I'm able to create higher demand, more offers, and that means more money in your pocket.
Get to know Gloria Liu like I have. Upfront written guarantees with the least hassle. Call Gloria Liu at 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
From your friends at Lombardo Homes, congrats to Dave Glover and the DGS Show on 25 years of building something great. Thanks for keeping St. Louis entertained, informed, and laughing all along the way.
This November, the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra presents Benjamin Britten's War Requiem, a powerful, haunting piece that reflects on war and peace across generations. Led by music director Stéphane Deneuve, the SLSO and St. Louis Symphony Chorus are joined by world-renowned vocalists and the St. Louis Children's Choirs. November 7th and 9th. Tickets at slso.org.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com.
This is Kyle Bush with Krentz Financial Group. For over 6 decades, we've helped St. Louis families and businesses plan with purpose and live with confidence. Life changes, divorce, loss of a loved one, or an inheritance. It can be overwhelming. We provide the resources, long-standing support, and thoughtful guidance you need to plan ahead. With our help and experience, you don't have to navigate these transitions alone. You can move forward with greater clarity and confidence. Your goals, our mission, start today at kfgadvisors.com.
Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Servicing. Member FINRA/SIPC. Krentz Financial Group is not a broker-dealer.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, good news for 64 drivers. Some crashes have been cleared. They cleared that bad one we had westbound at 25th Street on the Illinois side where all lanes were shut down. But now we're jammed from 255 to 111. It looks like a new crash there. It's still slow around 25th Street. Eastbound 70 through Packers Avenue, Route 3 still backed up. But again, it is improving with the exception of that westbound 64. Southbound 170, Delmar to 64 is backed up. Eastbound 64 still on the brakes from 270 up towards Spady. They did clear that one as well over to the shoulder, and it's briefly backed up at the Interbelt after that. Westbound 64 from K Midway to Winghaven is heavy. After that, it looks like you're home free. Southbound 270 still busy. Olive down to about Manchester and 44 down to Gravois. Southbound 55 a little busy. Gasconade Bates. Westbound Highway 70. There's some heavy traffic. Cave Springs to 370 and eastbound 270 between Bellefonte and Lilac toward Riverview. We have an incident and a jam. I'm Roger Brand in the Michaels Flooring Outlet.com Traffic Center.
Rush Hour Sports continues on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
All right, back in on Rush Hour Sports. Got a few more minutes before we wrap things up. Sports Open Line at the top of the hour. All right, I don't have a hot take on the Blues. Nothing like that. This is too early in a season to have a hot take. And by the way, we've seen this team stink early and then figure it out, right?
Yes.
But this is the third straight year that they are garbage coming out of training camp, and it's 3 different coaches. So 3 years ago, it was Craig Berube. Last year, it was
Bannister.
Right? Yep. And now it's Montgomery. So it's 3 straight years that you have come out of the gate completely unprepared to compete.
I'd have to go back.
There's something there.
There is. I'd have to go back and look, and I could. It feels like the number of goals they're giving up this year is more pronounced than, they're giving up, what was it, 35 goals in their 5 regulation losses this year or something like that. No, I think the number's worse than that. It's terrible. It's terrible. Your goalies right now, Bennington has a save percentage at .872 with a goals against above 3.
Yeah, not good enough.
And then Hofer, his goals against is darn near 6 with a .793 save percentage.
Yeah. I think some of that's on those guys. It's been bad, and some of that's also on the guys in front of them.
Sure.
But
that represents everything that's going on.
Yes. And it's but 3 straight years of getting out of the gates this slowly with 3 different coaches is telling me that it's about the roster. And it's about the core players. There's way too much up and down in this group.
There is.
And, over the last 3 plus years, so the 3 previous years to this one and this one combined, so it's only, 9 games so far, 8-9 games. 127, 106, and 22 for 3 plus years. You're a 500 team.
Mm-hmm.
I understand the scoring. I understand the point difference. Okay, I get it. I get that an overtime loss counts as a point. But you've lost more games than you've won in 3 plus years.
I've never bought the whole you're 500 if you're something and something and then something.
Yeah, again, it's fine. I've followed the NHL since the late 70s. I've covered it since the mid 90s. I get the difference.
Yeah.
But this is just mediocre.
Yeah.
And that's the point. No matter how you want to split it, it's 3 plus years of being mediocre. Now, maybe they have another big second half in them, whatever. But you are what your totality of your record says you are. And what they are over the last 3 plus years is a team, and really since the Stanley Cup, you've won 1 playoff series.
You almost won one last year, and
almost is nothing.
I know.
And you had to scramble to get in.
And this team should be good. This is the disappointing thing about this start. Last year, I didn't think we had expectations for the team.
No, I agree. This year, this team should be better.
And even 2 years ago, we didn't have expectations for the team.
No.
But this year, there are expectations.
Not of contention for a cup, but just better.
Yes, and it was almost assumed they were going to be a playoff club, even in a tough division and conference that they play in. The news today, Jake Neighbors is going to be out for at least 5 weeks. He has arguably been the most consistent player that they've had, especially from a forward spot this year. He's brought it just about every game, so that was not good news.
Yeah.
And they're back at it tonight. So we'll see what they do against a Detroit team that they blew a 4-0 lead against the other day.
Yeah, that was not good. We'll see where they go. I'm not writing them off by any means. I've watched this team have these bad starts and turn it around. We did it last year. They did it the year before that. And they did it in the Cup. You're like, I understand it's not over. But there is a problem when you're having the same issue at the beginning of the year and it's 3 different coaches. That tells me it's the players.
I would agree.
And if this doesn't get fixed this year, then it's time to significantly change the roster.
They gave up 2 goals in the first minute last night.
I know. Not great. Not great. All right, buddy. Have a good show, man.
All right, thanks.
So we got Sports Open Line coming up after the 6 o'clock news. And obviously, we'll be back doing this again tomorrow, and we'll see if we get another legendary World Series game tonight. I doubt it, because 2 in a row would be a little bit much, but we can hope.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Kuhn.
and I don't think it's going to change much here moving forward. We'll take a break. We got a lot more coming up in hour number 2 of the program here on KMOX.
FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, coming to Missouri soon. December 1st. Finally, you'll be able to bet on all your favorite teams and all your favorite sports, and it could not come at a better time of year. With football, basketball, hockey, it's all happening. And with FanDuel, tons of ways to get in on the action. You can bet on everything from the money line, over-under, bet the spread, or look to the future. Maybe you know who the MVP is going to be or win Coach of the Year, or what team's going to win the championship. You can do that with FanDuel. Plus, with live betting, you can even pick what player's going to score the next touchdown and the one after that while the game is going on. Download the FanDuel app and get familiar with it, because the app will be live to use December in Missouri. You can see for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Visit FanDuel.com/Missouri to download the app. FanDuel, play your game. 21 and over and present in Missouri. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hi, Stacy with Fairwinds Rivers Edge Senior Living in St. Charles. Are you a senior seeking a fun retirement? Do you want less work and more play? Do you want to enjoy great food that you don't have to cook? Then I know. Stop what you're doing right now and call Fairwinds. Set up a time to visit and have a meal. Meet some of our awesome residents. Check us out online at fairwindsriversedge.com. We hope to talk with you soon.
It's the most inspiring night in sports, the Musial Awards at Stiefel Theater. You can be in the audience for this nationally televised event from St. Louis. Named for Stan the Man, the Musial Awards celebrate those who uplift us through their extraordinary sportsmanship. Experience the remarkable moments and people that make this an event like no other. The Musial Awards, presented by Maryville University, Saturday, November 22nd. Tickets at musialawards.com.
House stealing. It's a nightmare that's real. It's the FBI's term for thieves stealing your home's title and draining your equity. Just one fake document filed with a recorder, and scammers can own your home on paper, drain your equity, and do it all without you even knowing. Imagine waking up to a foreclosure or eviction notice. Listen to former title thief Matt Cox.
What people don't realize is the ease in which this crime can happen. I can take the deed to your house and I can transfer that deed into my name. It's a great crime, and it's happening all the time.
So how can you stop the nightmare and protect yourself? Find out if you're already a victim now at HomeTitleLock.com. Use promo code RADIO and get a 30-day free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection, a title scan, and access to a title specialist, a $250 value. Don't wait. Go to HoldTitleLock.com now, promo code RADIO.
Mid-America's most trusted voice for news. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Stacey Lynn. Catastrophic winds and pounding rain from Hurricane Melissa. The eye of the storm has now moved off the coast of Jamaica and is headed towards Cuba. It made landfall earlier today as a Category 5 storm, one of the strongest Atlantic hurricanes in history. CBS's Jason Allen is in Kingston.
This hurricane came on shore hours ago, and things have not gotten any better. And consider that we are 75, 80 miles to the east of where Melissa made landfall. Just in the last 15 minutes or so, there's been a noticeable change in temperature here. Much, much cooler here on the backside of this storm.
National Hurricane Center Director Michael Brennan with where the path of the storm is heading now.
Eastern Cuba, conditions are going to rapidly deteriorate tonight. Be in your safe place, preparing for damaging hurricane force winds, dangerous storm surge, and potentially life-threatening flooding.
It's expected to make landfall in Cuba in the overnight hours. Groundhog Day on Capitol Hill. CBS's Caitlin Huey-Burns on what senators have been up to.
They voted earlier today for the 13th time to reopen the government, and that vote has failed. So basically,
basically, we're in the same position that we have been for the past several weeks now, with no end in sight here. But there is really a perfect storm of activity around this, where people all across the country are really starting to feel the pinch.
Air traffic controllers were supposed to get paid today, but they got no checks. That's bad for business, says Charles Jacques with the National Air Traffic Controllers Association in Philadelphia.
The government shutdown, every day that it drags on, is going to be an impact to the safety of the national airspace system.
And more controllers are calling in sick so they can work side jobs to make ends meet. CBS's Nancy Cordes is traveling with President Trump, who's leaving Tokyo now.
He's heading to South Korea. He's going to be meeting with a variety of regional leaders and business leaders. Trade will be at the top of the agenda. Then he sits down with President Xi in South Korea.
A judge in Chicago has ordered senior U.S. Border Patrol official Greg Bovino to brief her daily on how his agents are enforcing the law and whether they're staying within constitutional bounds. Darius Johnson is with CBS News, Chicago.
Ultimately, the judge told Bovino her goal is not to tell him how to enforce the law, but to make sure those laws are enforced in a way that upholds the Constitution that they both swore to defend.
This move comes after weeks and weeks of some confrontations between immigration agents and some of the residents in the streets of downtown Chicago. Stocks finished higher on Wall Street today. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
At 7:03, it's a cloudy sky. Right now, 55 degrees downtown at the Arch. St. Charles County Executive Steve Ellman is reversing his plans not to run for re-election, announcing on KMOX he will seek a sixth term. Ellman says a friendlier political landscape at the federal and state level changed his mind. He also points to changes in St. Louis, too.
I think we have the right people in place right now. I'm looking forward to working with Mayor Spencer. I'm sure we won't agree on everything.
Jason Law and Bill Eigel say they plan to remain in the Republican primary. KMOX reached out to Mike Elam, who has publicly said he will not oppose Ellman.
Bill 4858 has passed.
The city of Festus has a new law just in case data centers want to build there.
Did you have something you want to say?
I would just add, too, in our zoning code.
This is Stuart McMillan. I spoke with Festus City Administrator Greg Camp about a new law that passed unanimously during Monday night city council meeting, regulating the process for future potential data centers. Curious about planting in the city of Festus. Camp says this isn't an anti-data centers bill. It's just a roadmap to follow.
We don't want a developer to come to us and us not have rules, regulations, protections in place.
The new law controls how and where data centers can operate. It includes strict noise and light regulations, requires developers to first notify and meet with neighbors before construction.
23 years after first being established, what kind of innovations are happening at Cortex in Midtown St. Louis?
Cortex SVP Maggie Crane says innovations in tech, bioscience, and even food are a part of the work being done there.
Bakers and innovators baking right downstairs to come up with new solutions for food safety and food longevity.
One of those food innovators is Ishmael Wayne, who launched Puddin' as a part of Cortex's Square One program. He expects Cortex's food innovations to grow as more entrepreneurs get involved.
Because of the amount of innovation that's happening in all of the other sects, I'm very confident that when it comes to the food sect, that is going to be just as fruitful for any entrepreneurs that comes in.
He says the networking available at Cortex with other businesses and innovators in the same space is their best asset. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
The St. Louis Area Food Bank is the supplier to 588 food pantries across 26 counties in the bi-state.
I was out at one of our partners on Page Avenue last week. I was down to one of our partners down in Festus, Ozark Food Pantries, and they're all seeing the same thing. More people are coming to them for help, and so we are here to provide hope.
President and CEO Meredith Knopp says food pantries are supporting those who've lost their jobs, those who lost everything in the May tornado, as well as those caught up in the shutdown.
Got Air Force bases in our area, all of our Coast Guard friends that are based downtown in St. Louis, so there's lots of people seeking help right now.
If you want to help, she says funds go the longest. She says she can usually buy a truckload of food for what you might get just a cart. Overnight 42 for Thursday, sunshine, dry, chilly, high 58. Right now, downtown at the Arch, we've got some clouds. It's 55. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Once again, Matt Pauley on KMOX.
We are back at it as we roll into the second hour of the show. We've got a lot coming up here this hour. We'll continue. We'll do a lot of college athletics this hour. We'll talk Mizzou coming up in just a few minutes in our second segment this hour. We are going to be joined by Zach Sweet. He covers Mizzou athletics for the Columbia Missourian. And he's scheduled to join us here in a little bit more than 10 minutes right here on KMOX. The World Series is going to be getting going this hour. We'll keep you updated on that. The Blues are going to get started this hour. Last night was one of those nights where you need to have multiple monitors to keep track of everything that's going on. I'll be honest with you. John Camp is here with us today. John, I never tell a lie on this show. Do you know how much I tend to watch Monday Night Football. I tend to watch the Chiefs when they're on. Do you know how much Chiefs football I watched last night?
Based off of the tone you're going with this, I'm going to guess little to none.
None. I didn't even turn the game on. I watched much of the Blues and I watched the World Series, and I had my second. I had my iPad for a second screen if I needed it. But last night, Monday Night Football and the Chiefs were clearly number 3 on my list of things to watch, and it never got to a point where I went to that.
And I didn't even feel like the Chiefs played that good of a game, even though they won by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I was monitoring the game. Like every once in a while I would go see the score. And it was a close game in the first half. It was 7-7 at halftime. And then 28-7 the final score? Is that right? So I didn't watch a single second of it. And that's the way things go. You told me you made it to the absolute end of the baseball game.
I did.
I wonder how many people did.
The majority of people at Dodger Stadium did. That's for sure.
Yeah. That crowd stayed. They stopped showing the Rogers Center because there was a watch party going on at the Rogers Center because that's Eastern time zone. So that didn't.
It was like 2 in the morning when the game ended.
It was close to 3 because it was 2 here, so that would have been almost 3 o'clock in the morning. Whew.
Yeah.
That's a late. Can you imagine like the mom or dad that brought their kids to that? Hey, you know what? Maybe they don't get a chance to go to very many Blue Jays games. I don't know if they charged for that or not, or if it was just open, doors are open, come in, take your seat wherever you want to sit down. But can you just imagine, like, taking your kids, you're going to go do this watch party thing, you're going to go to Rogers Center, get your kids a hot dog, have some fun. Then all of a sudden that happens, and it just keeps going and going and going
you
and going.
2 full games happen.
Yeah.
Over the course of 6 hours.
It's It was a fun night. Have you now? What is you do a lot of work at Busch Stadium? What is the latest that you've had to leave a game? Because I guess in recent years we've had the runner on second, so we don't get the super long games, and you haven't been doing that stuff that long. So
yeah, it probably isn't the latest I've left, but the longest. Do you remember? I believe it was not this most recent season, but last season. There was a game against the White Sox, and it was bottom of the ninth. It starts pouring down rain.
Yeah.
But we had bases loaded, and we had a rain delay, and it was like 2 or 3 hour delay. And then we get back up, bases loaded, and CB Buckner just wanted to go home.
Yes.
It was a horrible call. I believe that was a 1 o'clock game on a Friday or a weekend, and I didn't get home till 10 o'clock at night.
Oh, well, this year, the final game before the All-Star break was terrible.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that was Atlanta that was in town, if I remember that correctly.
That sounds right.
And that was it was delayed most of the day. I wasn't at that one game. I'll tell kind of a funny story. Do you remember back? There was that 20-inning game between the Cardinals and Mets back in the day.
I believe I remember that.
Okay. So this is my funny story about that because I was living in Colorado at the time. I wasn't planning on telling this story, but whatever. We'll talk about what we're going to talk about in this segment later on in the show. So it's the night of the 20-inning game. On that same night, if you remember, Ubaldo Jimenez is a former pitcher for the Colorado Rockies. On the night that the Cardinals and Mets played 20 innings, Ubaldo Jimenez threw a no-hitter for the Rockies. So I was living in Colorado at the time. I was a broadcaster for what was then the Colorado Springs Sky Sox. They were the AAA affiliate of the Rockies. And that was an off day for the Sky Sox. So I actually had a day off. And I went on a date. I was single at the time. I went on a date with this girl, and I did not enjoy the date. I did not like her very much. And then I got home and I found out while I had been on this date, I missed a Ubaldo Jimenez no-hitter and I missed a Cardinals-Mets 20-inning game. And that was it. That the baseball gods spoke to me in that moment, and I knew, don't even try. I don't know if it was a first or a second date with this girl. I don't remember, but that was everything I needed to know in the moment.
Don't try again with her.
No, she's done. She's dead to me. The Lord does not want me to be with this person. And then lo and behold, the next girl that I ever went on a date with is now the girl who has been my wife for over 10 years. So it all worked out.
It had to be a sign.
Yeah. So anytime somebody brings up that 20-inning Cardinals-Mets game, I always think about that. And that night that was just these two incredible baseball things happening, and how I didn't see either of them because I was on a horrible, horrible, horrible date. On one of my very few off nights that I had when I was a AAA broadcaster. So there you go. Again, that game, by the way, Toronto and LA. It is just now underway. No score, top of the first inning. George Springer is not playing in that game. They're saying he's day-to-day at this point. I was talking about this with Kevin Wheeler earlier. Man, that lineup for Toronto, and I don't think it's a bad lineup, but it's incredible sometimes how you remove one individual from a lineup and how the depth of the lineup completely goes away. Because without Springer in the lineup, you're afraid of Vladimir Guerrero Jr., obviously. You respect Bo Bichette, Addison Barger, Alejandro Kirk. But man, that just, when you go through the Dodgers lineup, even when you're at the bottom of the order, you are, there are guys that you feel like can beat you. And it feels like there's going to be breaks in the Toronto lineup. Once you get past the first handful of batters, you get a little bit of a break, and that just doesn't happen with the Dodgers. That's why I talk about depth of lineup a lot during the season, because I think it's one of the most impactful and powerful things you can have. If you are relentless in your approach and you have guy after guy after guy, it's the reason that the Dodgers really didn't make many changes in the game yesterday. They have everything they need with just about every single player in the lineup. Now, admittedly, they don't have a very strong bench, but they've got guys up and down the order that can do the job, whereas you saw Toronto being a lot more liberal in their use of the bench yesterday, where all of a sudden the game is deep into extra innings, and it feels like Toronto is completely handcuffed in what they are going to be able to do. And I guess the Dodgers are handcuffed in the sense that they don't really have pieces on their bench that are going to help that much, but they just hadn't made that many moves at that point in time. And most teams in baseball, if you're not the Dodgers, if you're not the Mets, if you're not any other team, the Yankees, that try to spend a lot of money, that's how you're going to be built. I think comparing the Cardinals and Blue Jays, even though they're not comparable in who they are, comparing them in the sense of how do the Cardinals are never going to become the Dodgers. This is the point I'm trying to make. Cardinals can't become the Dodgers. They're not going to spend that kind of money. It's just not going to happen. The Cardinals cannot look at the Dodgers and say, that's who we aspire to be. No, that's not what's going to happen. Can the Cardinals look to the Blue Jays and say, that's what we aspire to be? Yeah, they can. Now, does it take getting a profoundly impactful, big-time player like a Vladimir Guerrero Jr.? Yeah, that's part of it. And the Cardinals haven't had that in a while. They have shown the ability to trade for that player occasionally. They have, you think about Albert Pujols and him coming up, going and finding that player, getting that player, acquiring that player is a really, really challenging thing to do. But if you go do that, and then you get a few other pieces, you can be the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays were a sub-80 win team last season, and this year they win arguably the toughest division in baseball and get to the World Series. That's a path to look at. You can learn things from teams, and we talk a lot about Milwaukee sometimes on what can the Cardinals learn from the Brewers. We talk about Atlanta sometimes. What can the Cardinals learn from Atlanta? Well, there's something to learn from Toronto as well. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll talk some Missouri football. Where do they go post Bo Pribula's injury? We'll discuss that in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. You're locked into a Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Missouri can count on.
If you need a new garage door, this could be your lucky day. Entries are now open for the $5,000 sweepstakes at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. The winner will be chosen at random to receive $5,000 towards new garage doors, openers, or front entry doors of their choice. Deadline to enter is the end of the month to win the $5,000 sweepstakes with Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Enter now at overheaddoorsstlouis.com. You can't win if you don't enter at overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-323-8922. 800-323-8922. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-323-8922.
Save big on everything for your next project when you shop at Menards. Spite Electric smart home products make everyday living simply smarter. Add color to your home's exterior with LED outdoor string lights. They're perfect for holidays or get-togethers, and they can be scheduled to automatically turn on or off. View our entire selection of Spite Electric smart home products today on Menards.com. Plus, check out our weekly flyer for other great deals happening this week.
Save big money at Menards.
An important message from S&L Coins. S&L Coins pays top dollar for your gold and silver coins, old currency, gold-filled jewelry, scrap gold and silver, silver plating, gold and silver bullion. Get a quote with a call to S&L at 544-3600. S&L Coins, 544-3600. Or visit S&L Coins at 9300 Gravois, just east of McKenzie. Open 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, 9 to 4 Saturday. Before you sell, call S&L, 544-3600. Are you an HR manager, business owner, or leader looking to retain your best people? Nearly 1 in 4 employees is caring for an aging loved one, a challenge that often leads to distraction, absenteeism, and costly turnover. The CARES program from Age Smart Community Resources connects your employees to expert caregiver support, helping them stay focused and productive at work. Discover how CARES can boost retention, improve ROI, and cut costs for your business. Visit hmart.org or call 618-222-2561. Proudly serving 7 counties in Southwest Illinois.
It's Tom Ackerman for Ophthalmology Associates, the doctor's doctors, 314-966-5000 or online at youridoc.com.
Retiring soon? Get the information you need by joining Kyle Jones and Matt Allgeier of Fira Capital Management for Your Retirement Highway, Sunday mornings at 9:30. Investment advisory services made available through Pine Ridge Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Securities made available through AE Financial Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC.
The Chris and Amy Show, weekdays starting at 9 on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
It's a Gray Bar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX. My name is Matt Pauley. Have you for the next 40 minutes. We're taking you until 8 o'clock tonight. Missouri football, they are certainly in a different spot right now than they were 1 week ago. 1 week ago, we were talking about this team having an opportunity to go beat a top 10 team on the road and put together a more a more plausible path to the college football playoff. Not that that path has completely gone away, but they lose this past weekend to Vanderbilt. They lose quarterback Bo Prabula, and now Matt Zollers is the guy, at least for the time being. To talk through that and much, much more, he covers Mizzou football for the Columbia Missourian. He is Zach Sweet. You follow him on Twitter at @ByZachSweet. Zach, thank you for taking some time with us today. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for having me on, man. I'm always excited to come and talk a little bit of Mizzou football.
Yeah, absolutely. So where does this team go from here moving forward? Obviously, Prabula is out, but Zollers look really, really good, and they still have a couple games on the schedule that if they were to win those and win out, there's still very much a path to the college football playoff. Like, from just a big picture view, where is this program at right now?
Right. When you see Bo Prabula go down the way he did on that 4th and 2 and in the state of the game, in the state of the season, my immediate reaction, I think among others, other fans, was, man, Missouri's season might be over. But then Matt Zollers comes into the game, and for the last quarter and a half, he looked fabulous. I mean, the poise he had in the pocket, he took his time going through reads. When a throw wasn't there, he had the poise to throw the ball away. He picked up the blitz really well, and I mean, I know he's a true freshman, and you don't have any leeway going forward. It's a tough stretch, but Matt Zollers looked really good. 14 of 23, 138 and a touchdown. I mean, it's hard not to be excited about the future of the program. Maybe not this season, but Matt Zollers being a true freshman, he will be here the next 2 years. So it's going to be exciting to watch his development, especially over the next 4 games in his first couple of starts.
We're using a highly touted quarterback. Obviously, there was a very high ceiling for him going into this year, but he came into the year as the third-string quarterback and gets to this point thanks to 2 separate injuries. Were you surprised at just how good he did look against Vanderbilt?
Yeah, I mean, I was shocked. I didn't expect him to come into the game like that and look as good as he did, especially. We know he's a great passer, and that's what he was recruited to do with his arm. But, I mean, there's no way you can say you were expecting him to look like that in his first meaningful action for Missouri. I wrote about it yesterday. Eli Drinkwitz talked to us before the season about how he was going to be the future of Missouri's quarterback, but nobody expected them to get here this year, especially with the quarterback competition they had with Sam Horn and Bo Prabula. So seeing them both go down is obviously unfortunate, but you're getting a glimpse into what Drinkwitz has said himself was going to be the future. It just has come a little bit early here.
We all know how college football works, where players get recruited every single year. They go into the transfer portal. There's NIL money to be had. Even if Drink is telling Zollers that you're the future here, if there's a program out there that thought that they could give him an opportunity, they're probably knocking on that door. Is there actually maybe a little bit of a benefit to him playing this year and that path being more cemented for him moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely a path in that sense, like we saw last year with Williams Nwaneri. Missouri got, of course, the 5-star recruit, and he transferred out just as quickly as he came. We never really got to see him have a chance with Missouri. So getting Matt Zollers this game action for 4 games here, if Zollers looks the part, there's no reason to think he might not be the starter on day 1 next year. So, yeah, I mean, there's definitely could be a benefit to this. Obviously, Missouri's expectation coming into the year was to go to the college football playoff, and I definitely don't think anyone had in the bingo card a true freshman leading them there. But here we are with 4 weeks left in the season. If Missouri runs the table, it's an uphill battle, don't get me wrong. But if Missouri runs the table, that's where we find ourselves right now.
It's a double-edged sword with 2 weeks leading into Texas A&M. It's good for Missouri in the sense that they can install the offense with Zollers the way they would like to and really work him hard for a couple weeks. On the other side of things, A&M is also going into an off week, so A&M gets 2 weeks to prepare. So you got to think that A&M is going to be ready for Zollers.
Yeah, definitely. And especially they'll get to see, I mean, what is on tape of Zollers. There's not much, actually, because, of course, Zollers was hurt last year. His senior year of high school, he suffered a lower leg injury and was out for most of the year. So there actually isn't a ton of film on him over the past year and a half. But you definitely figure A&M will be more prepared than Vanderbilt was. Vanderbilt, of course, wasn't expecting to see Zollers in that game. And this A&M team is dominant. I mean, both offensively, defensively, they don't really have a weak spot. They are one of the best teams in the country. They're 8-0, and it's definitely an uphill battle. The's no denying that.
We were talking with Zach Sweet. He covers Missouri for the Columbia Missourian. The schedule is what the schedule is, but in some ways, has the scheduling come back to hurt Missouri a little bit because they had such an easy schedule in the early going. They didn't go on the road. And now all of a sudden you look at who they've been against Alabama, against Auburn, and against Vanderbilt. It has looked different. Did the schedule maybe not prepare them for this stretch the way they would have liked to have been prepared?
Yeah, it's tough to say that, though, because that's also a double-edged sword because the schedule set them up for 6 straight home games to start the year, more than anyone else in college football had. Definitely there's an element of that. You didn't get to experience a road game. You didn't get to experience a tough team. But Missouri had every opportunity in the world against Alabama and Vanderbilt to win both those games, and all they really needed to do was go 2-1 in that stretch of 3 games of Alabama, Auburn, and Vanderbilt to put themselves in a really realistic position here to go 3-1 down the stretch. And you can't account for injuries either, so I think it's pretty tough to blame or fault the schedule for this. But yeah, now you're looking at 4 in a row you have to win against a really, really good A&M team, and then back-to-back road games to end the year against Oklahoma and Arkansas. So for sure the schedule is not where we thought it would be heading into this point, going into the season.
Who is this team from a run game perspective? Because we saw the numbers that Hardy was putting up and the team overall was putting up. He's not the only guy who's had success on the ground, but they've had a really hard time running the ball during this period that we just talked about.
Yeah, no, 100%. And especially with all the hype and national attention Ahmad Hardy got in the first 6 weeks, I believe it was. And rightfully so, he deserved it. He looked awesome. Alabama and Auburn's run defenses are both phenomenal, so it's hard to plague Hardy for that, especially because the offensive line was struggling to get any push. Hardy ran for 110 yards in those 2 games, but he had a pretty nice bounce-back week against Vanderbilt. He actually looked pretty good. He had 20 carries, about 100 yards on the ground. Of course, he couldn't get into the end zone. Missouri couldn't really finish any of their drives. But I think that was a pretty solid bounce back, and I'd expect to see Hardy flourish the rest of the year, especially given the true freshman at quarterback and all the circumstances heading into it. I'd expect Ahmad Hardy to finish the year strong. I still think he's a fantastic runner, and the thing with Ahmad Hardy that isn't getting brought up enough, in my opinion, he's still a sophomore. And, I mean, the fact that he has looked this good is brilliant, and I think Ahmad Hardy is still a key piece in the next 4 weeks, and then, of course, next year as well.
Couple more minutes with Zach Sweet covering Missouri for the Columbia Missourian. What's the feeling right now in Columbia as Eli Drinkwitz's name keeps getting connected to just about every college football coaching job that comes open?
Yeah, so Dave DeArmond actually had a great video today on PM and AM. For anyone that hasn't seen it, I would highly recommend it. But he basically broke down what my sense has been for the last couple of weeks here, which going into that Vanderbilt game, I figured it was especially big, not only for college football playoff implications in Missouri's future, but also for Drink's future, because now you're looking at a Missouri team that has to run the table 4 games in a row. And if they lose to Texas A&M, they could be potentially probably eliminated from the college football playoff on November 9th. And that's really, really important, especially with how crazy this coaching carousel is. There's going to be these openings, Florida, LSU, Penn State. We already see it. Auburn might become open. All these jobs that are very high-profile coaching jobs, and these programs are going to want a coach that's going to be readily available to come in and recruit as early as December. And if you're looking at the top targets, Drinkwitz's name comes up. Another name that comes up a ton is Lane Kiffin. And Lane Kiffin's team is set up to make a deep college football playoff run. And if that happens, Drinkwitz could easily slot in ahead of him in a lot of these job searches because teams are eager to get a coach who's going to be able to recruit for next year right now. So I think that's why that Vanderbilt game was so significant. And you're going to continue to hear Drinkwitz's name.
It seems like anything he has asked for at Missouri, he has gotten. Are we at another point where another contract extension, more money for assistant coaches, more money towards facilities, like all these things that Missouri has really already done? Is there more that can be done?
Yeah, you can offer him another extension. We saw what Cignetti did a couple weeks ago. I don't think Missouri is going to do that during this season, but I wouldn't be shocked to see that because Drinkwitz is the guy. Everyone at Missouri within the program, there's no real worry right now about him leaving. as far as to my knowledge at this point. And of course, he's going to be rumored in all these talks. But if you can lock him down to a deal like that, that'd be awesome for Missouri. They want to keep Drinkwitz. You've seen what he's done with the program. He's put them in the position they're in now to be a college football playoff contender year in and year out at the moment. The recruiting is good. He's gotten everything he's wanted. There's no reason to think that. And I'm not saying Florida is a much better job than Missouri. By no stretch of the imagination, you can definitely make an argument Missouri's as good a job as Florida right now. But if a school like LSU comes calling, that might be a little bit of a different story. But Drinkwitz, yeah, he right now is still in a position where he's gotten everything he wanted. And if he wants to be at Missouri, he's going to be at Missouri, of course.
That's interesting you say that, because I guess sometimes I evaluate jobs based off their ceilings, not based off their current status. I think if we're talking current status and you compare Missouri to a Florida, even to an LSU, you're very comfortable where Missouri's at. But maybe it's an outside perception. It feels like the ceiling can be higher at those places. That it's easier to recruit to those places. That there might be more resources. Are you basically contending that no, that's not the case? That a ceiling at Missouri can be the same as a ceiling at Florida?
No. I agree with you on that. The ceiling at Florida and the ceiling at LSU is obviously greater than the ceiling at Missouri right now. But I'm definitely saying that with the NIL era and the way Missouri has invested in its athletic program and given Drinkwitz everything he wanted and the state Missouri's in with its recruiting, I'm not saying they're going to be able to compete with an LSU or a Florida, but I'm saying Drinkwitz might feel he's in a really good spot at Missouri right now. And why would Florida be that much better of a spot right now than Missouri is in where he's at in the state of the program? That's all I'm saying.
No, that makes sense. And also, again, if the money's there and if schools come calling, we'll see what happens. But it almost feels like for Drinkwitz to really get to where, I don't know, to maximize his earning potential somewhere else, it would help if he had a college football playoff appearance on that resume.
100% I agree that would help him. But even just looking at what Missouri has done over the last 3 seasons now, I think you're able to say Eli Drinkwitz has put Missouri in a position to be there. And I don't think you can take away from what he's done here.
No, I don't think so either. Zach Sweet, he covers Missouri athletics for the Columbia Missourian. Follow him on Twitter at @ByZachSweet, SWEET. Zach, I enjoyed the conversation. Thanks so much. We'll do it again sometime.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Very good. That's Zach Sweet joining us. He brought up some good stuff there. Enjoyed being able to talk to him about all things Missouri football. Okay, this is what I wanted to get to today. Appreciate this is what we're going to talk about in the first segment of this hour before I decide to talk about my horrible date on the night of the Mets-Cardinals 20-inning game, but we will get to it. It seems like the NCAA might be pumping the brakes a bit on loosening up gambling standards for people connected with the NCAA. I'll explain all of that coming up in just a moment as we roll on with the Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
Hey, just check the mail. We've been invited to a seminar and dinner is free.
It's gonna be chicken, and it'll taste like Play-Doh.
Don't be fooled. All seminars are not the same. For example, Steve All, an investment advisor representative and founder of the All Financial Group, will be hosting his Taxes and Retirement Seminar at the Twisted Tree on November 4th and 6th. From the big beautiful bill to taxes on your Social Security, Steve will not only cover the hurdles you'll face in retirement, but ways to keep more money in your pocket and less in Uncle Sam's. This is a complimentary event, but seating is limited, so reserve your seat today. Call 636-230-8824 or online at yourmoneymattersstl.com.
You know, hon, I've always been interested in us buying a timeshare.
I'd rather eat Play-Doh.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, or registered investment advisor. Neither the firm nor its agents or representatives may give tax or legal advice. Individuals should consult with a qualified professional for guidance before making any purchasing decisions.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right, nice, soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Zero Res. So they've been with me for 15 plus years. We've had a lot of seasons together. So it is officially fall now. It's spooky season. You've got Halloween coming up. You have people coming over. It is time to nest for the winter and the holidays. In other words, it's a great time to get your carpets cleaned, to get your furniture clean, to get your air ducts clean, and your dryer vent clean. You can do all of those very reasonably. There's always a DGS special. This month, it is 3 months of carpet clean starting at $129. That's a $40 savings. 15% off your air duct and dryer vent cleaning. The guys do a great job. They've been out to my house half a dozen times, maybe more than that. They work their butts off. They're professional. They are courteous. Call 314-474-2020. You can also book online at ZeroResSTL.com. 314-474-2020. ZeroResSTL.com.
It's easy to feel apprehensive about getting screened for cancer or to just keep putting it off. But Siteman Cancer Center wants to remind you how important it is, especially after the age of 40, and they also want you to know how easy it is to get it done. GetScreenedNow.com has all the information you need on cancers like prostate, breast, colon, lung cancer. You can also find out your risk of disease by answering just a few simple questions. And then you can find one of the hundreds of screening locations in the area. Even if you're a little farther out, there is probably a place near you. You have heard this before, but catching cancer early dramatically increases the odds of a successful treatment, especially with so many cancers showing up earlier in life. So do not be intimidated. Siteman will make the process as simple as possible. GetScreenedNow.com. Do it for your family and friends who count on you. Do it for yourself. Visit GetScreenedNow.com.
Get ready for Thursday night football as the Ravens face the Dolphins.
Siteman Cancer Center game time 6:30. Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer.
The Ravens, the Dolphins on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It's a Gray Bar Sports Open Line here on KMOX. Have about 22 minutes left in the program. We're taking you until 8 o'clock tonight. We'll be back with you tomorrow as well, 6 to 8. Thursday, we'll have the short show because of Thursday night football. So I want to be careful on how I walk down this path because in no way, shape, or form am I an anti-sports gambling person. In fact, as we talked about, when the arrests were made by the FBI, specifically of Miami Heat's Terry Rozier, that got caught. Him, the irregular betting activity was flagged because of the legalization of sports gambling. These things, I promise you, have been happening for a very, very long time, but before there was legalized sports gambling in places outside of Las Vegas, if you wanted to go take Terry Rozier and the under, you went to your local under-the-table bookie, or you tried to do something internationally. I guess the point I'm making here is that sports gambling, even though it had been illegal, has been happening, and now that it's going to be legalized, it's regulated and monitored. So years ago, months ago, in some places, probably years is the better thing, but you get the point. You want to go, you've got a deal with an athlete that they're going to take themselves out of a game. They're going to do this, they're going to do that. And you go bet on it. It's really not going to get caught. You don't have the mechanisms in place to be able to catch it. So That's where I actually think legalized sports gambling has been a benefit, because when stuff is going on that's not quite right, it's going to get caught easier. That doesn't mean by any stretch of the mind that I think you should just open up the doors wide open and anybody can gamble on anything and just very little regulation and all that. That is not true. And there's a lot of shades of gray. One of those shades of gray is college athletes betting on professional sports. If you did not know, that had not been allowed. And I would actually say rightfully so, because there's just too much of a connection in what's going on. If you're playing at a college and one of your buddies who you were alongside with last year, and now they're in the NFL or they're in the NBA, whatever, there's a connection there. So it just opens up the door for some improprieties that you want to stay away from when it comes to college athletics. So we had talked about it on this show, that the NCAA was going to change their rules to allow college athletes to bet on professional sports. Can't bet on college sports, obviously, but to bet on professional sports. Ross Dellinger from Yahoo Sports does a really good job covering college football. He wrote about this then, and he got a copy of the memo. A memo was sent to the NCAA last week from SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey. And in that memo, he urged the NCAA to rescind their decision to permit college athletes to wager on professional sports. In that memo, he described it as a, quote, major step in the wrong direction. He went on to say any concerns over a previous policy to prohibit athletes to bet on sports should be addressed not through a wholesale removal of guardrails, but careful refinement of the policy. Said that the reversal of the ban threatens the integrity of competition, makes athletes more vulnerable to exploitation. What might begin as casual betting can quickly spiral into something far more serious. The memo states, the SEC's presidents and chancellors believe the NCAA should restore its prior policy or a modified policy communicating a prohibition on gambling by student athletes and athletic staff, regardless of the divisional level of their sport, unquote. Since that memo was sent, the NCAA did announce that they are delaying the effective date of their sports betting legislative change to November 22nd. And that is going to allow them to talk about this a little bit more here moving forward. You know, sometimes in life, like this can be like even a political thing, and I'm not trying to go down a political path here by any stretch of the mind. But sometimes you see something where somebody wants to make a decision and all the stakeholders disagree with that decision, yet this one single entity or this one single person tries to plow forward with this thing that they want to do. And that largely seems to be what's happening right now with the NCAA. And I don't want to get caught in the weeds here because this new legislation, it does separate like D1, D2, D3, different rules for different athletes at different levels. That doesn't really matter for this point right now, because what it does is it puts you on the path of all collegiate athletes being able to gamble on professional sports at some point, which is what most people involved in college athletics does not want to see happen. In fact, in that memo from Greg Sankey, the SEC commissioner, he states that speaking with his colleagues, commissioners from other leagues, that they are also just as against it. So I guess that presents the question if the SEC is against this, if the Big Ten is against this, if the Big 12 is against this, if the ACC is against this, if whatever the Pac-12 is against this, if the Mountain West and the American Athletic Conference and Conference USA and everybody is against this, then what's the reason for moving forward? And they were going to first loosen up the regulations when it came to Division II and Division III. And what I'm guessing, I don't know this for sure. I should talk to like a D2 or a D3 AD at some point in the near future to maybe get a little bit more insight into this. But what I would guess is the NCAA has basically said, we can't enforce this. This is unenforceable. When you think about Division II and Division III athletes and how many institutions there are and how many college athletes they are, you can't enforce this anymore. So why have the rule in the first place? That's what I would guess would be kind of the reasoning. Maybe I've got that completely wrong. But that's kind of, and that's why I think that the D2 and the D3 loosening up was going to happen first. That's a ridiculous thought, if that is the thought. And I'm putting words in their mouth, and that's a dangerous thing to do. But let's like play out that idea for a second. The comparable idea there would be, you know what? We don't have enough police to enforce the speed limits on this road, so let's just get rid of speed limits. Oh, no, you don't do that. That makes zero sense. You can have a rule in place that you know it's going to be hard to enforce. You can even have a rule in place that you really don't plan on enforcing unless there's really a reason to do it. Guess what? If some D3 tennis player decides to bet on the Lions this weekend, it's not a big deal. It's against the rules. If somehow the NCAA finds out about it, they can punish that person. But that's one of those things where it really isn't a big deal. It doesn't matter. But having those rules in place in case something does become a big deal or in case you do find out about it, and obviously as it trickles up, because you know what is a big deal? It's a big deal if a college football player who's a junior or a senior and is going to get drafted soon and is really good friends with somebody who plays for the Lions because they were teammates at the college the year before, and he found out that somebody with the Lions isn't going to be playing this weekend or is compromised and goes and bets on it, that's a problem at that point. So it's different from both sides when you compare the different levels, but that's the slippery slope that you start to go down that I think the NCAA 100% has to be able to avoid. And it's easy to avoid it. It is so easy to avoid it. With all due respect to the good people in Indianapolis at the NCAA, I don't understand what motivated them to want to make this rule change, because it doesn't make sense. You don't have to enforce the rule if you don't want to in areas where it doesn't have much of an impact, but all athletes and all staffers know what the rule is and know that they shouldn't be doing it. It's the same thing. Sometimes I speed, like most people. If I get pulled over, I knew what the rule was, even though most of the time I'm not going to get pulled over. And compared to most people in St. Louis, I'm probably a slower driver. My wife makes fun of me she says I'm a slow driver. My wife all the time. When we're in a hurry and we need to get somewhere, she wants to drive because she claims that she drives faster than me. I don't know if that's true. I don't think it's true, but it's a sidebar to this conversation. One last break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up this edition of the program. This is a Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real, and I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
The DGS Halloween show is back, and you can hear it first on Friday, October 31st, starting at 4 p.m. Hear all about their ghost hunting experience and all the thrills and chills the show experienced this year. And to check out the ghost adventures from the past 20 years, head to KMOX.com/Halloween. The DGS Halloween show, presented by Lore Wine and Spirits. Try Ghost Tequila today, the perfect spicy spirit to bring your Halloween celebrations to the next level.
For residential and commercial heating repairs, service, maintenance, or installation, contact Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Installation. With over 50 years of HVAC service, get in your comfort zone this winter. Visit aircomfortservice.com. That's aircomfortservice.com.
House stealing. It's a nightmare that's real. It's the FBI's term for thieves stealing your home's title and draining your equity. Just one fake document filed with a recorder, and scammers can own your home on paper, drain your equity, and do it all without you even knowing. Imagine waking up to a foreclosure or eviction notice. Listen to former title thief Matt Cox.
What people don't realize is the ease in which this crime can happen. I can take the deed to your house and I can transfer that deed into my name. It's a great crime, and it's happening all the time.
So how can you stop the nightmare and protect yourself? Find out if you're already a victim now at HomeTitleLock.com. Use promo code RADIO and get a 30-day free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection, a title scan, and access to a title specialist, a $250 value. Don't wait. Go to HomeTitleLock.com now, promo code RADIO.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
This is Megan Lynch for Ophthalmology Associates. Do you worry about going to see someone about your eyesight because you're stressed about the tests that they might run, and more specifically, the equipment that they might use? Ophthalmology Associates has the latest technology to see inside your eyes and detect issues without discomfort, and they have a great staff that guides you through the entire process. Call 314-966-5000 or go to youridoc.com. You can see the doctors of Ophthalmology Associates, Doctors Greg Birdie, that's who I see, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, and Andy Royer. From issues like dry eye to conditions such as cataracts and glaucoma, the doctors of Ophthalmology Associates will guide you through your diagnosis and your treatment options. For more information, call Ophthalmology Associates 314-966-5000. That's 314-966-5000, or go to youridoc.com.
Here in St. Louis, we take pride in supporting our health and our community. That's why more and more families are turning to Neovitin multivitamins, created by a local physician and made right here in the U.S. using the highest quality domestic and international ingredients. With formulas for men, women, and adults 50 plus, Neovitin helps keep St. Louis families energized, supported, and ready for life. Find Neovitin at your local Dierbergs, Schnucks, and online at neovitin.com. Neovitin, trusted nutrition from St. Louis for St. Louis.
It's a Gray Bar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX. If you are a country music fan, you might recognize this music as Brad Paisley. John Camp, are you a country music fan?
I listen to just about everything. Country's at the very bottom of that list.
Do you have any? Oh, it's on the bottom of the list.
It's not that I hate it. It's just it's not my thing.
Do you have any idea why I asked you to play a Brad Paisley song? Did you see this today?
I think I know.
Okay.
He's just been related to all the long World Series games over the last couple of years.
Yes. So this is good. Brad Paisley has sung the national anthem for 4 World Series games in his life. World Series game number 2 in 2017. That game went 11 innings. World Series game number 3 in 2018. That game went 18 innings.
At Dodger Stadium as well.
World Series game 1 in 2024. That game went 10 innings. And yesterday, he was the national anthem singer for another 18-inning contest. 4 national anthems for Brad Paisley and 4 extra-inning World Series games. Does he get booked again?
Depends on how the ratings were, I guess.
Guys, I wonder. I would like to see how ratings dropped off as the night went along, because I know, like, I stayed up last night, but not everybody did, and would be interesting. But there you go. Brad Paisley is the one to blame. If you are tired today because you stayed up till 2 o'clock in the morning, you have one man to blame, and that man is Brad Paisley, who is solely responsible for last night's game going 18 innings. By the way, Toronto is up 2-1 on the Dodgers. That game is in the top of the 3rd inning in L.A., and the Blues and the Red Wings, they are 1-1 with about a minute and a half to go in the first period. The Blues did score first before the Red Wings tied it up. That's it for this Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Talk to you tomorrow here on KMOX.
Explore passion and romance as the